The NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg has suggested that Ukraine may need to compromise in its conflict with Russia. However, Stoltenberg stresses the importance of continued military support to repel Russian forces and deter aggression. While hopeful for a near end to the war, Stoltenberg underscores the need for long-term support to build Ukraine's defenses. At the same time, he signaled that it was up to Ukraine to choose when and under what conditions to seek peace with Russia. Russia and Ukraine waged a tug-of-war in attacking each other's military targets. Russia on Saturday attacked Ukrainian military industrial enterprises, while Ukraine hit Russian military targets. The Russian Ministry of Defense reported on Saturday that the Russian army utilized long-range precision-guided munition and drones to attack the Ukrainian facilities. The General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces reported that it conducted strikes on 14 locations where Russian air defense systems were stationed. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky hopes that he and the Swiss counterpart of his would set a date for a World Peace Summit in Switzerland with 80 to 100 countries. Russia has said that such a meeting will be pointless if it does not participate. Now, Kiev has previously proposed a World Peace Summit but said that Russia would not be invited. Zelensky said in a television interview that he and the Swiss president would have to agree on the date between them and then send invitations to world leaders. Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov will be on a two-day visit to China on Monday and Tuesday. Lavrov will discuss the Russia-Ukraine conflict and deepening partnership between Moscow and Beijing with Chinese counterpart Wang Yi. Delegations from Israel and Hamas are scheduled to hold talks in Cairo on Sunday in the hope of reviving stalled ceasefire talks. This comes as the Israeli government is under increased international and domestic pressure to reach a deal with Hamas to bring the hostages back home that were held in Gaza, and the CIA Director Bill Burns is heading the U.S. delegation. Already he is in Cairo on Saturday to attend the talks. Qatari Foreign Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani and an Israeli delegation are expected to take part in the talks as well. And according to reports, the Israeli military has withdrawn all ground troops from the southern Gaza Strip except for one brigade. Israel launched airstrike on eastern Lebanon early on Sunday, hitting what it said was Hezbollah's infrastructure sites after the armed group had downed an Israeli drone over the country. Both sides continue to trade fire, and this is amid escalating regional tensions. The Israeli army, in a statement, said that the fighter jets struck at a military complex and three other infrastructure sites belonging to Hezbollah in the eastern city of Baalbek. It said that the latest attack was in response to Hezbollah's downing of an unmanned aerial vehicle in Lebanon airspace, which the group identified as Israeli-made. The Hermes 900 drone, Hezbollah has been trading fire with Israel across Lebanon's southern border since October 8. Israel's army on Saturday released footage that it said showed the targeting and destruction of tunnels operated by Hamas in the southern Gaza city of Khan Yunis. The army, in a statement accompanying the video, said that the tunnels had been uncovered in the past, with one dating back a decade. In addition to the three tunnels-like structures, the Israeli Defense Forces claimed that the Hamas-run evacuation workshop was also destroyed. Now, DD India correspondent Sara Coots gives us more on the talks, on the truce talks and the ground situation in Gaza.
These talks are expected to begin in the next few hours. We do know that the head of the CIA, Bill Burns, is there, also the Qatari Prime Minister, Egypt's spy chief, and we are expecting an Israeli delegation, along with a delegation from Hamas, to be there in Cairo. But at this hour, really, there is little indication that either side, Israel or Hamas, would be willing to budge on the end of the war. We do know that Hamas wants a full comprehensive ceasefire. This is certainly something that Israel says it will not agree to, given that it believes the last 4 or so Hamas battalions are stationed down into that southern Gazan city of Rafah, which is an area that Israel says it's adamant to get into to defeat Hamas. The IDF is moving away from these large-scale operations and may now focus on more targeted raids in that southern area. We do still know that troops are operating in the north, but of course what it could also signal is that potentially more of these troops are being moved out of Gaza and may potentially be moved to the northern part of the country, given these tit-for-tat skirmishes with Hezbollah are only intensifying. And then, of course, there is this major threat coming from Iran in the wake of that strike in Syria, which killed a number of senior Iranian officials. There's a lot of tension here on the ground amid reports from Iran that it is planning on retaliating to Israel. We heard from one of these senior Iranians saying that the US should not get involved. But as I said, a lot of concern. We do know that reservist troops, they've had their leave cancelled. More reservists have even been called up. The aerial defences here in Israel, they have been bolstered, and GPS signals continue to be jammed. So certainly a lot of concern about this retaliatory strike, when and how it may take place. And people here on the ground have been panic buying things like groceries, buying generators and taking out cash over fear of a reprisal from Iran.
Well, the Joint Operations Command of the Ministry of Defense announced the implementation of the 26th airdrop of humanitarian and relief aid as part of the Birds of Goodness operation. The United Arab Emirates Ministry of Defense released footage on Saturday reportedly showing its air forces dropping humanitarian aid parcels into northern Gaza in a joint effort with Egypt. 2 UAE C-17 aircraft and 2 Egyptian C-295 aircraft participated in the airdrop operation. Over 80 tons of food and relief aid and supplies were dropped over isolated areas in northern Gaza. As part of an international effort to help set up a new humanitarian maritime corridor, a British Royal Navy ship will supply aid to Gaza. The multinational effort involving the United States, Cyprus and other partners will develop a new temporary pier off the coast of Gaza. British Foreign Minister David Cameron pledged $12.26 million for aid equipment and logistical expertise to help set up the maritime corridor from Cyprus to Gaza. The initiative will see aid pre-screened in Cyprus and delivered directly to Gaza. This is through the new U.S. temporary pier being constructed off the coast or via Ashdod port, after Israel agreed to open it. It has been 6 months now since Hamas fighters broke through from Gaza into Israel on the 7th of October, killing 1,200 people and taking hundreds hostage. The UN chief, Antonio Guterres, once again has condemned the attack and called for unconditional release of all the hostages.
The 7th of October is a day of pain for Israel and the world. The United Nations and I personally mourn with Israelis for the 1,200 people, including many women and children, were killed in cold blood. Nothing can justify the horror unleashed by Hamas in October 7th. And I once again utterly condemn the use of sexual violence, torture, injuring and kidnapping of civilians, the firing of rockets towards civilian targets, and the use of human shields. And I call for the unconditional release of all the hostages still held by Hamas and other armed groups.
In Slovakia, Peter Pellegrini wins the presidential election, defeating Ivan Korčok. Peter Pellegrini received 56.7% of the vote in Saturday's runoff election, topping the former Foreign Minister Ivan Korčok, who had won 43.3%. This election result propels Pellegrini to be Slovakia's 6th president since its independence from Czechoslovakia in 1993. The outgoing president, Zuzana Chaputova, known for her support of Ukraine amid Russian aggression, chose not to seek re-election for the largely ceremonial role. Although Slovak presidents wield limited executive powers, they can veto laws or challenge them in the Constitutional Court. They also nominate Constitutional Court judges, potentially shaping political conflicts over FICO's reforms, which aim to reduce penalties for corruption. Mexico has suspended diplomatic ties with Ecuador after the police raided its embassy in Quito. This is to arrest the former Ecuadorian Vice President Jorge Glass. Now, Nicaragua has also joined Mexico in cutting all diplomatic relations with Ecuador as the flagrant violation of international law has taken place, according to them. Glass has been holed up in the embassy in Quito since seeking political asylum in December. He has been accused by Ecuadorian authorities of embezzling government funds meant to help rebuild after a devastating 2016 earthquake. He has now been flown under police guard to the city of Guayaquil and is expected to await trial in a maximum security prison. Meanwhile, Glass says that he is the subject of political persecution and had been sheltering inside the embassy. Glass served as Ecuador's vice president between 2013 and 2017. He was relieved of his duties because of the mounting corruption allegations against him. Later that year, he was sentenced to 6 years in jail in connection with corruption at the Brazilian construction giant Odebrecht. Now, police authorities in Nigeria say that they have deployed personnel. This is to restore peace in Omala local government area in the country's north state of Kogi. This follows the killing of over 20 people in the region by gunmen. DD India's Tessie Kende reports.
Police public relations officer in the state, William Aya, while confirming the incident, says the gunmen also set houses ablaze. Locals say most of the casualties were old people who could not run for safety. Several other people were injured, while many have left the communities for safety. Local authorities said the incident on Thursday was a reprisal attack by herders against farmers who earlier killed 6 of them over jostle for land. It's led to this deployment of security personnel to attempt to restore and maintain peace. Conflict between farmers and herders are common in Nigeria, especially in Kogi and other parts of the north-central region, where the land is arable and also good for pasture. The country's House of Representatives says the situation has led to the loss of over 60,000 lives. The government says it is introducing improved agricultural practices, such as ranching, as part of measures to address the situation. Some states have already abolished the open grazing system and given room for the establishment of the ranches. Tassim Akende in Jos, reporting for DD India.
The Train Drivers Union of the United Kingdom, ASLIF, has launched a new round of strikes which is expected to impact most railway services in the country. The Euston Railway station, it was affected by these strikes. The station looked extremely deserted on Friday morning with only a few passengers. A dozen train drivers gathered outside the station holding banners and slogans to express their complaints. According to the union, train drivers under the union have not received any pay rise since April of 2019, and many people have been experiencing a living cost crisis as product prices in Britain have soared due to the effects of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. This round of strikes was scheduled to be held on Friday, Saturday and Monday, impacting operations of 16 railway companies. According to Rail Delivery Group, the strikes held from June 2022 to January 2024 had caused £775 million of economic loss to the country's railway industry. Now, still to come here on DD India Live. Campaign is in full swing in India's general elections. The Indian Army is to hold a tri-service conference in New Delhi. A tailor's daughter is all set to become the first woman judge in the Rajouri town of Jammu and Kashmir.
The The land of Dravidians, Tamil Nadu goes to polls in one go. How will the National Party's alliance face the political heat with the regional satraps? What are the issues that could find resonance among the voters as India decides? Will the vote share increase help the national parties get a foothold in the minds of the people? Watch Why Tamil Nadu Matters on the Great Indian Election at 8:30 p.m. IST and 1500 hours GMT only on DD India.
Well, you're watching DD India Live. I'm Mark Lynn, and now let's get you all the latest from the world's largest democratic exercise in India. Campaigning is in full swing for the general elections in India. And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed a huge public meeting in Nevada in the Indian state of Bihar. Saluting the land of Magadha, the Prime Minister said that what he guaranteed ahead of the previous elections, he stood by his promises. And later, the Prime Minister addressed a huge public meeting in Jalpaiguri. Addressing that rally, the Prime Minister enumerated the developmental works his government has done over the last 10 years. The Prime Minister fiercely attacked the Mamata Banerjee-led government in Bengal, and he attacked the Congress-led Indy alliance as well.
कि जो शिक्षक भर्ती में गरीब लोगों के पैसे गए, सरकारी नौकरी में गरीबों के पैसे गए, और जिनका पक्का मिलता है कि हाँ इससे पैसा गया है, तो जो 3,000 करोड़ रुपए इनके अटैच किए ना, मैं इन गरीबों को वापस करवाऊंगा। टीएमसी, वामदल, कांग्रेस ने एक दूसरे के भ्रष्टाचारियों को बचाने के लिए ये इंडी गठबंधन बनाया है। मैं कहता हूं भ्रष्टाचार मिटाओ। वो कहते हैं भ्रष्टाचारी बचाओ। ये लोग चाहे जितनी साजिश कर लें, मैं आपको गारंटी देता हूं 4 जून के बाद भ्रष्टाचारियों के खिलाफ कार्रवाई और तेज होगी।
And before his rally in Jalpaiguri, the Prime Minister held a roadshow where a large number of people gathered to show their support. Now, Prime Minister Modi's next event will be in the central state of Madhya Pradesh, where he's going to be leading a roadshow in Jabalpur. The BJP National President JP Nadda addressed a public meeting in Chidambaram in the southern state of Tamil Nadu. Nadda said that India had taken a significant leap in the development of the country and has become the 5th largest economy in the world, surpassing Britain. And he further mentioned that the Indian economy will become the 3rd largest economy in the world during the 3rd term of the dynamic Prime Minister Narendra Modi. India's Defence Minister and the senior BJP leader Rajnath Singh addressed a public rally in Rajasthan's Bikaner on Sunday. The minister urged the public to vote for the BJP for development. He also highlighted that the BJP had abolished the practice of triple talaq to empower Muslim women in the country. The Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge has approved the proposal for the formation of a campaign committee for the Rajasthan Pradesh Congress Committee for the general elections 2024 with immediate effect. The All India Congress Committee on Saturday approved a 32-member campaign committee for the Lok Sabha elections in Rajasthan. The Uddhav Thackeray campaign got a fresh setback. This is ahead of the Lok Sabha elections as the former Maharashtra minister and deputy leader of the Shiv Sena UBT group, Bhaban Rao Gholap, He joined the Shiv Sena led by the Chief Minister Eknath Shinde. Golab joined the party in the presence of the Maharashtra Chief Minister Eknath Shinde, the State Minister Dada Bhuse and the Deputy Chairperson of the Maharashtra Legislative Council Neelam Ghore. Shinde said that 2 more MLAs from Rajasthan will join the party in the next 2 days. Golab is a 5-time MLA from Nasik district of Maharashtra. Ahead of India's general elections, school students in North India's Moradabad painted their faces and made sand art. This is to motivate people to vote. Now, the students were participating in a campaign to raise awareness among people about the good virtues of voting in the upcoming elections. Now, India's space achievements can be seen as an animated show at a planetarium in the southern state of Bengaluru. What's happened is that youngsters they are evoking interest in them about India's space missions. The Jawaharlal Nehru Planetarium will be showcasing a sky show. It's produced by the Indian Space Research Organization, ISRO, and the theme of the show is Indian Space Odyssey, sounding rockets to Gaganyaan. Here's Aisha Khanam's report.
The planetarium shows in Bangalore are no longer restricted to watching the Milky Way galaxy or stargazing. The Indian Space Research Organization is now simplifying its success stories and bringing it to the young minds. The Gaganyaan story will now be seen in the planetarium in simple language, which the students and common man can understand. The 30-minute show's prime highlight is its animation of the various aspects of the Gaganyaan mission and the accurate replication of the spacecraft through various videos and visuals of the process. The video discusses the training of 4 astronauts at the Human Space Flight Center along with the meticulous preparation for the launch. Speaking at the premiere of the Odyssey show, A.S. Kiran Kumar, former chairman of ISRO, said if we want more space activities in the country, we should bring the narrative forward with such videos.
Space mining activities.
The government is also looking at how Indians can land on moon by 2040. So it's exciting times ahead. But then if more and more space activities have to happen in the country, we also need to make sure that we bring in this narrative to the next generation and the public, and through these such activities make them aware of what is happening.
Post Chandrayaan 3's success, the interest of the youngsters in aerospace has grown manifold. This special show is open to public every day at the planetarium. The JNP is also making efforts to take the sky show to other states across the country. Aisha Khanam reports for DD India.
Let's get you other stories making the news now. India's Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar addressed the students and faculty members at the 6th convocation ceremony of the Indian Institute of Management, Bodh Gaya. And he congratulated the students on their journey and he called them the torchbearers of India's future. Earlier, he visited the Mahabodhi temple in Gaya, which is an important shrine dedicated to Lord Buddha. The Indian Army is going to hold a tri-service conference called Parivartan Chintan. This is in New Delhi on Monday, and this conference aims to propel the jointness and integration efforts and will also be the first ever conference of the heads of all the tri-services institutions. A day-long discussion will be chaired by the Chief of Defence Staff, General Anil Chauhan. In the town of Rajouri in India's Jammu and Kashmir, the daughter of a tailor, Bhavana Khesa, is all set to become the first woman to become a judge. She cleared the civil service judicial examination for the state of Jammu and Kashmir after facing many hurdles coming from a middle-class family for the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. Moving on to the Indian Premier League now, Mumbai Indians, they posted 234 runs for the loss of 5 wickets against Delhi Capitals. The match is taking place in Mumbai. after Ramorio Shepherd smashed 32 in the final over of the T20 cricket match. That's a lot of runs in the last over. Shepherd came out of nowhere to slam a 10-ball 39. Shepherd and Tim David added 53 runs in the last 3 overs as Mumbai Indians set up an imposing total. Early openers Rohit Sharma and Ishant Kishan set the tone, especially the former. He batted aggressively on the power play. The duo added 80 runs for the first wicket in 7 overs, but Akshar Patel ended Sharma's innings one short of a 50, 49. And then there was a streak of wickets that followed that saw the Mumbai Indians slip to 121 for 4. Then captain Hardik Pandya promoted himself to number 4. And he was joined by Tim David, and both of them added 60 runs for the 5th wicket, which laid the platform for Shepherd's heroics in the end. Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India Live. Let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on Facebook, X, which was formerly Twitter. And you can also connect with us on Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Mark Lynn from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks very much for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.